And we are live. Welcome, mystery and thriller fans. I'm your on-air host, Sara DiVello, and I am so excited to welcome back bestselling author Samantha Downing here to give us the inside scoop on her brand new book, A Twisted Love Story. Samantha, welcome back to Mystery and Thriller Mavens. Tell us about this book.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me back. I think it's been 2 years since I was here. That was the last time I had a book come out. So my new book is A Twisted Love Story, and it is about a couple named Wes and Ivy. They have been on and off for 10 years, and they break up and get back together all the time. And they're a little like a tornado. They barrel through life, and other people get caught into their whirlwind, and they get pulled into it. And then some people jump into their whirlwind and insert themselves into it. And lots of bad things happen and can happen when you're a tornado, including death. And so the book begins with a detective who has caught on to this couple and thinks something is up with them and starts investigating them.
Dun, dun, dun. Well, I am hooked, and I know so many else are. I also feel like, quote, lots of bad things happen is the tagline of that's hashtag trademark Downing right there.
Lots of bad things happen.
Of every Samantha Downing book, and we are hashtag here for it. So I can't wait to get the skinny on this book, Samantha. So first, I just want to welcome everyone. We are going live to 7 different destinations across Facebook and YouTube. So, hey, mystery and thriller loving friends, no matter where you're watching from, this is the right place. It is the right time, and it is Mystery Monday, because Mondays can be murder. We're going to make them a little less painful for you. So if you've been here before, you know the drill. And if you're new, here's the drill. Every Monday, I give you my handpicked featured authors, and you get to ask them anything. So ask Samantha Downing about her creative process, her writing, her books, anything you'd like to know about this twisted love story or any of her books. Get them going in the comments. I'll get them right over to her. Leslie says hello from Canada. Leslie,
hello.
Hello to you. Welcome to the conversation. Samantha, I have some questions for you, and I want to kick off with some of the incredible praise that this book has earned. So first off, from Sylvia Day, the #1 New York Times bestselling author, and I'm going to pop this up so that we can all read it together. She raves that this is, quote, a deliciously clever thriller. I love Samantha Downing's books. She said, if you haven't experienced the pleasure of reading her work, do not wait. So first of all, high praise there from #1 New York Times bestselling author Sylvia Day. Samantha, what is it that you think makes a thriller deliciously clever? How do you do it?
Definitely the unexpected. And I've always thought of being a thriller writer and thriller readers play a little game with each other. And thriller readers are typically very smart because they read a lot of thrillers, they look for the twists, they see them coming. So my job is to outsmart the readers, and the readers are trying to outthink me. So this is the game we play. What I've figured out is that the best I can do, first of all, a thriller reader, someone who has experienced reading thrillers, they're going to see the clues. When I drop them, they're going to say, I'm going to remember that's going to be, I know that's going to be something. So if I say, Jack put the phone number on the counter, that's so specific. You're going to be like, that's important. The phone number is sitting on the counter. Right. But how that turns out is where I hope to surprise you. You're going to know about that phone number, and you're going to remember that phone number. But maybe I'm going to burn the house down. And then the phone number is burned up and the phone number is lost. And that creates a whole different problem in the book. But maybe you thought somebody was going to find the phone number. So I try to drop the clues and then bring them together in a way that you don't expect.
Ooh, now, Samantha, I want to know a little more about this because, you know, I'm intrigued by what you say, because you said it's the unexpected that makes a book readable, unputdownable, deliciously clever. But how do you create the unexpected? Because our brains naturally go to what is expected.
Exactly. So when I'm writing and I'm trying to bring it together and I drop clues along the way, and I'm a pantser, I'll say that. I do not plot my books. So this is all done on the fly and in revisions. I then think, how can I use this clue that I've dropped? And what's the most obvious thing? Okay, not going to do that. And then I go through the next 10. What are the most obvious things? Not going to do any of those. So, how can I use it in a way that makes sense and doesn't come across as too far out there, or too stupid, or too this, so that the reader's like, oh, okay, I see how that was done. Because I don't really, and I'm a reader first before I'm a writer. I don't want to be smarter than the writer. I want the writer to be better than me. So, but
Right.
I also want it to make sense. I get disappointed when I figure it out. And I think most readers do because they want to be surprised ultimately, but they also don't want it to be so unexpected. They that it's stupid or it doesn't make sense. So it's a line to walk, it's, and just try your best every time.
Exactly. And I'm resonating with so much, with everything that you're saying, because exactly as you said, thriller readers are smart. And also because the stakes keep rising, and so because the twists keep getting more, you have to get more and more fiendishly deviously clever, then readers get more, you know fiendishly deviously anticipatory. So it's like, we are in this dance, but the stakes keep rising for both of us. So this is a fascinating conversation. I am loving this.
Yes, it is. It's a skill and an art, and you just have to. It's all of those things and experience, and you just have to hope that you get it right and that you hit the mark. And you don't always as a writer, but when you do, readers know it, so the readers see it.
Right, exactly. And it's hard to keep, you because you do want to play fair with the reader, and you don't want them to get to the end and say, to feel fooled, but they do want to be surprised. So it is
Hmm.
a delicate balance. Sharon, welcome to the conversation, saying, what great authors tonight. Seriously, May Cobb, Samantha Downing. My goodness, this lineup is lit. Diane joining us from YouTube. Welcome to the conversation. She is saying, good evening, Sara. Good evening, Samantha. Good evening to
Good
you,
evening.
Diane. Leslie wants to know, Samantha, what author inspired you to write?
Uh, Gosh, I started writing a long time ago. I was just a huge reader growing up, um, and started writing 20 years before I was published. So, my lovely wife, which was my first book, was the 12th book that I wrote and the first one that was published. So, I don't know that
Oh,
any one reader made me start writing. It was just the fact that I loved to read and I always did growing up, and then just started trying to write my own stories. Certainly, what inspired my first published novel, My Lovely Wife, was the rise of domestic thrillers, which started with Gone Girl and went to Girl on the Train, and then Mary Kubica and Jessica Knoll and all the great writers that came after that. I probably wouldn't have thought of that book because at that point, before that, mostly thrillers had someone in law enforcement in the main character, someone a police officer chasing a serial killer like Silence of the Lambs. And I never worked in law enforcement and don't have the expertise to do that correctly the way it should be done. And so I never tried to write anything like that. But when I read Gone Girl and Girl on the Train, I thought, okay, now this is the kind of thriller I could write because these are regular people who are caught up in this thrillery situation, either because they caused it or because they were put themselves into it, or they were just innocent people having something happen to them. And I wrote My Lovely Wife.
You're so right about that. For so many years, it was that detective or PI, on the case. It was a police procedural, and then there was this cultural seismic shift into domestic suspense, which has completely, and psychological thrillers completely taken over. And I didn't know that actually inspired and empowered you to write this? This is very cool to know. Thank you for the great question, Leslie. Thank you for sharing. Samantha Carey, welcome to the conversation, saying Samantha is the best at burning down the house I still think about. He started it. Samantha, your
Thank
response.
you. Thank you, Carrie. I appreciate it. Nice to see you.
Yay. Diane, also joining us on YouTube, saying, yes, finally, Samantha, Sara, that is me. I am always J.B. Fletchering my way in the thriller mystery cozy books. I am looking for the pine tree and discover it is a Slatkin pine candle. I love it. I love it. Exactly. I think I'm resonating so much
We
with
are
that.
all Jessica Fletcher at heart. Okay.
I'm Murder She Wrote here fan right here, number one.
Uh-huh.
Thank you for the great comment, Diane. Sharon saying, I hate it when I figure out the ending early. I just want to be floored by what happens. And I think so much of what people love about Samantha Downing books is that you do floor readers, Sam. So now knowing that you are a pantser, I didn't know that. What do you do if you get to the end and it's not flooring you? Are you like, oh, gotta amp it up a little, or does it, or do you floor yourself?
If it doesn't, sometimes my estimation of it can be off because I'm so close to it. So it takes my agent or my editor to be like, we need, this ending, I saw this coming or something. And my agent is incredibly good at figuring out twists. So if I get her, I know I'm in. I'm like, that's the one. If she's surprised, then that's a good start. If she figures it out, then I probably need to work on it. So she's a good barometer, and my editor as well. She will tell me if something's predictable or not surprising enough. So it's good. You really need outside people to tell you. I have a writers group as well, a writers critique group that I work with, and they read the early draft, like the earliest of drafts before I ever turn it in. And they also will say, oh my God, I didn't see that coming. Or, oh yeah, I kind of thought that was coming. So you really need objective feedback for that kind of thing, because you're too close to it as the writer.
Yeah, exactly. And also by the time you've read it, 500,000 times, everything seems predictable and boring and not interesting, or surprising or twisty at all. So there's that little problem. Diane saying, same. I want to enjoy the destinations, but I don't want to get there and it's raining the entire vacation. What a great analogy. I love that.
Yeah,
Leslie wants to know, where did you get the names Wes and Ivy? I thought of Wes Craven, the director.
That's funny. I typically lean towards shorter names for the main characters because it just works better on the page and as you're reading. Millicent in My Lovely Wife was probably one of the only times I had a longer name in a main character. But as I was looking at, I try to pick names that go together well. They don't sound alike. They don't both end in a Y or end in an A or what have you. So it's kind of just a matching and pairing. And Wes, the character of Wes comes from the Midwest. He comes from Michigan and moves to California, and that's where he meets Ivy when they're in college. And she comes from California and in fact grew up on a marijuana farm. So Ivy seemed like a perfect thing their parents would name her. And Wes for Wesley or just Wes seems like a guy from the Midwest to me.
I love it. Sharon says, what a great title. Yeah, tell us about the title.
Yeah, the title was we went back and forth on the title and how descriptive to get on it. My original title when I turned the book in was Always Have, Always Will.
Ooh.
They thought that could be misconstrued as a true romance book and readers would get confused. And so we talked about it. I wanted to be very careful about not labeling their relationship because that's for the readers to do. I didn't want to call it a toxic love story. I don't ever say what they are. And I think that's something readers can talk about and think about, and they bring their own experiences to it. And they can judge Wes and Ivy however they like, but I wanted to present it as just, here's a twisted love story. It's a different kind of love story, and it is twisted, but whether it's twisted good or twisted bad is up to you to decide.
Ooh, okay, okay. I like it. Open-ended. Diane saying, we want to enjoy the thrill of the chase, but not always capture them when they surrender. Ooh, interesting. Okay, I like
Yeah.
it. She wants to know, Samantha, what genre did you read as a kid? How has your reading evolved over the years, and what is currently on your nightstand, print or digital?
As a kid, I started out reading all the books that we all read. I read the Beverly Cleary books, Encyclopedia Brown, Nancy Drew, um, Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, all the Judy Blooms. And but as I got older, I did read thrillers because people in my family read thrillers, so they were always around. These were the books that were around the house. John Grisham, Tom Clancy, all of those were just laying around. We all read thrillers. So the older I got, the more thrillers I read. Um, and so it was natural for me to come back to that genre and write in that genre after exploring other genres in when I was still not published. And I read both in print and digital. And right now I am reading, I read advanced copies of books, and I'm reading the next thriller by Samantha Bailey. And I was very excited to get that. So I like her writing a lot. And
Team Samantha. Team
I'm
Samantha. Diane's giving you hearts and love for that. And yes, Samantha Bailey came on when her last book was out. Watch out for her. And so it's so great to know that you are that you're reading her next one. Diane saying, I love that. Getting your editor is a fabulous induction. That all is pulsing. Yeah, that's such a good point, because she probably reads and edits a lot of thrillers.
mm-hmm.
I want to share some of the other amazing praise that your book has earned. Alice Feeney, who's come on twice for her last two books, Raving. I'm going to pop this up so we can all read it together. Toxic relationships. Oh, she's labeling it there, Sam. She is going to call it toxic, not just twisted. Dark deeds and a cast of unreliable narrators. All the best ingredients for a deliciously disturbing read. Twisted indeed. I feel like I should have read that with a British accent. Then it would be even more Alice. That would have sounded even better. She's not the only one raving. Christina Lauren, a New York Times bestselling author, also chiming with some incredible praise here. She says Samantha Downing's writing is pure twisted magic. Well, it will take you, I'm going to pop this one up as well. It will take you from the height of sexy crashing into the walls obsession to utter disbelief. I am loving every second. That is some high praise there. So Sam, you mentioned that you do not plot, that you fly by the seat of your pants. So when you are pantsing, do you find yourself ever written into a corner?
Absolutely. The problem with pantsing, the main problem with pantsing, is that it's the most inefficient way to write, because you don't know where the story is going to go. You have no plot, you have no outline, you have no nothing. And sometimes it goes very wrong. I throw out more writing than actually ever gets published. I throw out entire books that never get published. So pantsing can go very, very wrong. And I have written bad books. I just threw one out, actually, just a few months ago. I threw it out, an entire book. So it's it's always a shame, because then you got to start again. But most of the time, I can tell a few thousand words in if I want to continue, and by 20,000 words, which is about almost a quarter of the way through, I can really tell if the book has paths forward, if the story is going to be big enough. And by then I know if I love the story, because if I don't love it, I'm not going to want to write the rest of it anyway. So even if it's good, or it might be a good book, if I'm not emotionally into it, then I'm not going to even want to write it. So I write every day, 7 days a week, early in the morning. and the majority of it will never be published.
Wow, that is hardcore, Samantha Downing. That is hardcore. Um, Emotionally, how do you refuel to keep going into the rolling up your sleeves, getting down in the trenches and working?
Just keep it moving. You
Mm,
just have to. I mean, not everything, when you're an artist, not everything you do is going to be great. And a songwriter isn't always going to write a hit record. A chef isn't always going to cook a great meal, and they don't try to make it better. They throw it out and cook another meal. So, and they try to do it better, or a songwriter writes another song or whatever. So it's just the way it goes. Not everything that comes out of me is going to be good just because I'm a writer. There's a lot of bad stuff that comes out too. And you just have to accept that it's all practice, and hopefully it all goes towards being a better writer and all contributes towards being a better writer. Because that's the goal for me, is to be a better writer and to write better books every time. I'm
yes.
not looking to repeat myself. So in every book,
And
I try to do something new. I try that, even if it's not something the readers see, it's a challenge for me.
I love that. I love that. Committing to the practice and the craft itself instead of getting stuck on the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
So you get up every morning and you write every morning. So, Diane wants to know, do you have any writing rituals? If so, what are they?
I would say just writing in the morning. That's the only one. I don't have any others, and I need coffee, lots of coffee. But I don't have any other actual rituals. I just sit down and get to it.
Do you have a certain number of words or pages that you have to do before you allow yourself to get up, or you literally just go by the seat of your pants to see what comes up?
I try to do 1,000 words a day. So however long it could be very fast if I know if I have in mind something to write. It could take several hours to get 1,000 words out. So, but 1,000 words a day is always the goal.
Okay. Okay. Um, Diana is saying, Samantha, thank you for your transparency. I love that. I love that too. And again, not just your transparency about your craft, but about the fact that sometimes it doesn't work out and you do throw them away, and that's okay because you're still improving as a writer. And that's what
Yeah.
you're really committed to. You're getting so many hearts up on Facebook. Thank you guys. Thank you all. Clearly it is working. I want to get to share some of this other praise. Geneva Rose, let's pop that up, saying Twisted Love Story will take you on a tense, emotional thrill ride that doesn't let up until the final page. Downing has crafted a complex, masterfully written tale that will have you rooting for the dysfunctional couple while simultaneously not trusting either of them. Geneva is, of course, the New York Times bestselling author of You Shouldn't Have Come Here. She's not the only one raving. JP Delaney saying this story about a toxic relationship. JP's also labeling it. JP and Alice saying about a toxic relationship spiraling, out of control. I'm going to pop this up so we can all read it. Is dazzlingly, deliciously dark and enormous fun. Samantha, do you have fun as you're writing them?
I do. The initial writing process is the part that's fun for me because it's when I'm being creative, when I'm writing the first draft, I'm discovering it as I go because I don't have an outline or a plotted. So that's the most fun part for me. That's when it's just it's a puzzle to be solved. Where do I go next? What are these characters going to do next? Who are these people? And I'm discovering the story the same way a reader would, really, except I'm just typing. So that for me is absolutely the best part.
I love that. So when you say, Diana's saying, do you actually type it? Do you handwrite it? What is your process? So when you're saying typing, are you actually?
I use a computer. Yeah, I don't handwrite.
Okay. Leslie would like to know, sorry, I'm just scrolling through, making sure I get everybody's comments in here. Leslie would like to know, how do you know that you can't rework some of your works? Gosh, I could not throw them out. That's amazing. Yeah. So when you get to that 20,000 word mark and you're like, the story is not big enough or it just isn't working, work us through. Could you not rework
it? The ones that are finished books probably could be reworked. It just would take in my opinion, significant rewrites. And sometimes I don't think it's, if the material isn't good enough to start with, am I ever really going to make it great or what I think is great? Maybe not. The ones that are partials, these are just stories that I didn't see going anywhere or that I didn't particularly like. When I get to 20,000 words, I have to see multiple paths forward. The story has to get bigger. I have another 60,000 words or 70,000 words to write. And if I don't see a path in getting there, then it's just not there. Sometimes you have an idea, but an idea is not a book, and a premise is not a book. And sometimes it's just that I'm not the one to write that particular premise. Maybe another writer could take it and spin off a whole series on it for all I know. But for me, the ideas aren't coming and I'm not connecting to it. So sometimes it can be emotional. Sometimes it could be that the story isn't big enough and I can't think of a place to take it. Sometimes I just don't like it and I'm not having fun with it. And I want to be able to sit down and want to write about the characters. I want to see what happens. And if I'm not feeling the urge, like if I don't want to know, why would readers want to know? I can't even find the motivation for it.
Diane saying, yes, an idea is not a book. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Because I think the other thing too is that I think a lot of times people don't realize exactly how many hours and weeks and months you're going to be spending in this world with these people. So if you know early on, this is not fun, this is a slow trudge through a miserable slog of misery and deprivation, it's not going to get any better. It's only going to get harder. So if you're not loving it here, then in 300 pages or 12 months, or in my case, 9 years, however long it takes you, you're definitely not going to like it. So, yeah, I'm resonating with all of this. Diane saying, Sara, is this secretly Samantha's masterclass? It is.
I hope not. I hope not.
Welcome to Samantha Downing's masterclass. Congratulations. Surprise, you're all here. This is Samantha Downing tells all. Samantha Downing spills the tea on a twisted love story. Y'all, it is time to order this book from our favorite woman-owned independent bookstore. That is, of course, Murder by the Book. And here's that link. No matter where you're watching from, Facebook or YouTube, grab that link and order a twisted love story so that you too can immerse yourself in Wes, Ivy, their on again, off again 10-year relationship, and the deep, dark, terrible secret that they're hiding and harboring. So click and pre-order and let us know what you think of Wes, what you think of Ivy. Are they toxic? Are they twisted? And what do you think is going to happen? Crime reads, raves. Samantha Downing is one of those rare writers equally focused on character and plotting, and it shows in the twists and turns of her novels, as well as the genuine emotions they evoke in readers. Are you equally focused on character and plotting, Samantha?
I always love when I see reviews that talk about my plotting because I don't plot. So I always think they think I plot though. Yay.
You fooled crime reads.
So I think when the revisions or something must have done a lot to it because it was never plotted. So that's always fun to read. I'm definitely focused on character. You have to be. So especially when some of my books at least have psychopathic characters, and to make those somebody wants to read about, they have to really be fully formed and have something that's going to draw the reader in other than being a psychopath. So,
well, interestingly, when I hosted Vera Curian, who studies psychopathy,
mm-hmm.
She has a PhD in psychology and she studies psychopathy. I learned that 2.5% of the American population, in fact, are psychopaths
mm-hmm.
suffering from psychopathy. So not entirely unlikely that, we've met 1 or 10 and have interacted with them outside of the pages of a Samantha Downing book, and certainly within them.
Absolutely.
But since you have fooled crime reads into plotting, can you do your evil villain laugh?
No. That's it. That's my laugh.
I
It's
think it
not
would be
very
more like
evil.
I think it would be more like "Wah, ha, ha, ha." No, that's more like the Count from Sesame Street. But
Okay.
I'm trying to
No,
think.
I'm not very evil. I'm only evil in my writing.
So Diane is giving us an evil villain laugh from YouTube. I love it. Mystery and Suspense magazine says Downing is a phenomenal writer that draws you in from the very first page. Katie Couric Media says, I am obsessed with everything Samantha Downing writes. She is truly the master of twisty thrillers. Congratulations on all of this incredible praise. Hank Philippi Ryan says, nobody does dark, sophisticated psychological suspense like the oh so talented Samantha Downing. Hannah Mary McKinnon says, while a twisted love story is a thriller about love, buckle up because it's the gnarly twisted variety. Were you trying to write the gnarly twisted variety, Samantha?
Actually, what my goal in this book was to have the relationship be a character.
Ooh.
So, yeah, so Wes and Ivy are individuals, but when they come together, they become something else, sort of like a chemistry experiment. Becomes two different things,
Ooh.
and that relationship that they have drives the story.
I like the
So
idea of the relationship being a third character.
yep. And I would also say love is a character in the book because they aren't the only relationship in the book. All the supporting characters, including the detective, have had their own relationships who have made them who they are. So it is the effect of love on people, good and bad and destructive and amazing, and all of the different ways love can affect people and relationships can affect people. So it's a twisted love story and with a lot of twisted love stories in it.
I love it. I love it. Well, Red Carpet Crash says this is a great, twisty, soapy, well written novel that only Samantha Downing can write. Congratulations on that praise.
Thank you.
Samantha, thank you so much for coming on to give us the inside scoop uh, on a twisted love story. And y'all, it is time to order the book and let us know what you think of Wes and Ivy. Are they twisted? Are they toxic? Are they the coolest couple you know? We need to know. So here again is that link, no matter where you're watching from, Facebook or YouTube. Grab your copy, support woman-owned independent bookstores. Order now, y'all. I'm going to pop that link up one more time. Samantha, thank you so much for coming on. Diane says, book hangover incoming. Exactly. You can feel it already. It's coming. You feel like a thunderstorm deep in your bones. Grab that link, order it now, and let us know what you think. Samantha, what a pleasure to host you and speak with you and nerd out about all the things I like to talk about: craft, what works, why it works, what doesn't work, what you've learned along the way. This is juicy stuff, and I love this. So thank you. What a pleasure to chat with you again.
Thank you for having me. And just a shout out to Murder by the Book. I have been there. I love this store. In fact, I was living in New Orleans last year, and a friend and I drove out to Murder by the Book to see Riley Sager there. So that was the last time I was there. And unfortunately, I'm not living in the South anymore, so I won't be there for this book. But I hope to get there soon. I love Murder by the Book. It's such a great bookstore, and the people there are so nice.
Yay! They are the best. Diane saying, thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Samantha. Good night, everyone, and happy reading. Leslie saying, thank you, ladies from Canada. Leslie, always a pleasure to see you pop up. Y'all, that is a wrap on hashtag Mystery Monday. I hope you have a killer rest of your week, and I will see you next week. I have a very lit lineup. I will see you then.